I'm Marin, and this is Post-its and Pens. Hello and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. It is time for my March makeup basket and my March eyeshadow roulette picks. So let's not waste time. Let's just go ahead and get into the video. To start off, we'll go ahead and recap February. So as usual, I had 5 shades that I was working on. Here is my paper with the dates. So as you can see, I did complete my eyeshadow roulette for February. So it is time to pick 5 new shades to work on for the month of March. Now, it is March 6th. And I've already picked the shades because I wanted to have them ready to go for March 1st. Obviously, so I already know what they are. Also, full disclosure, I did randomize the numbers several times in order to get the 5 shades for March because I was really trying to get palettes that I hadn't used previously, and I kept getting like the same numbers for palettes that I'd already used. So I did randomize these numbers a lot in order to get 5 shades from 5 palettes that I have not used in 2022, because that's kind of my goal. I want to make sure I'm using shades from every single palette in my collection, and it just kept generating the same ones over and over. So that's that. We'll go ahead and get started. I will swatch them per usual and all of that. So here we go. So the first one that came up in a palette I had not already used was the shade Aura, which was number 36, and it is from the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. Aura is this kind of dark brown shade right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this. This is not a shade that I gravitate towards naturally. I really prefer a lot more light colored makeup, but this is definitely something that I can use on my lower lash line, something like that. But it does look like this. So this is shade number 1, which is Aura by Huda Beauty. Okay, shade number 2 gave me 91, which is the shade Candied Violet from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. I don't like this shade, y'all. It's muddy and messy, but you know, it is what it is. So here's what it looks like swatched. This is another one that I'm probably going to just focus on my lower lash line to use it. But here is the shade next to Aura. See, you can already kind of see, it's supposed to be purple, but it just looks muddy. It is sparkly, you know, so it's got that going for it, but this is not a shade that I really enjoy using. So lower lash line, it's gonna be, and we're gonna try to get it knocked out pretty quickly, not gonna lie. All right, shade number 3 was number 8, and it is one of my Super Shock shadows from ColourPop. And it is the shade Okay, so it's this kind of gold colored shade. I had another Super Shock shadow in my collection, but I dropped it and it fell out of the pan, and honestly, there was so little of it left. I wasn't really that stressed about trying to finish it up, but Okay is really pretty. It's this gold shade here. It's really pretty, really sparkly. So definitely something that I can use as a topper over pretty much any shade I might want to wear. So that is shade number 3. I'm happy to get some use out of this little guy. All right, shade number 4 was number 13, which is from my e.l.f. Mint to Be palette, and it is this first kind of darker green shimmer shade. I am wearing it today. I will put a close-up of my eye makeup right here for you, but it is this green color right here. It's very pretty, but it's very messy. It doesn't swatch super well, so let me see. There we go. So it is this greenish color. Again, I'm wearing it on my lower lash line. I'm actually wearing every shade from this palette today. But yeah, it is a nice one, and I like that it's springy because we are kind of getting into springtime, but it is a bit over the top for everyday wear, so we'll have to see how I can kind of squeeze this one in and make it work. So stay tuned. All right, and the final shade for March was number 145, and it comes from my Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette, and it is the shade Juicy, which is this, how to describe this? It's this like coral color right here. So I will swatch it for you. And again, it's a bit out of my comfort zone. I don't love darker shades, but you know, we'll make it work. It is pretty, so it is that one right there. So those are my 5 shades for March. Stay tuned for various looks. I will include them in next month's makeup basket. But now let's go ahead and pick out the rest of my products for March. Okay, first let's talk about the base products that I'm going to be using this month, as I did pick up 2 new ones. So the first one is this ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. This is in the shade Fair 4N. And then I also picked up this Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint SPF 40. That's a mouthful, from Ilia. And this is the shade ST3 Balos. So these are the 2 new base products that I will be using this month. This one does not last well on my skin at all, so I'm trying to figure out how to kind of play around with it. I did purchase the CoverFX Mattifying drops, which I'll put a picture of right here, that I'm gonna try to see if I can like mix in with this to make it work a little bit better. It looks really pretty on my skin, but it just does not last. Same thing with this one. This one lasts better than this one, but I need like a pretty good primer and setting spray with this to make it last throughout the day. But I do like the way they look on my skin, so yeah, I like the lighter coverage, but I just wish they stayed a bit better. So there you go, that's my quick review on these, but these will be the base products that I'm using in March. I also have 2 concealers. They are both the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. One is in the shade Fair Rose, which is this lighter color here. And then one is in Light Peach, which is this color right here. I mix them for my under eyes. The peach helps cancel out my dark circles. And then the light one obviously helps brighten. And then I will also use the light one kind of like just in my, you know, T-zone kind of, not really T-zone, what am I trying to say? Where the light hits for like a little bit of highlighting. So those are the other 2 products that I will be using in March that aren't that interesting. But now let's go ahead and get into the color products because those are a bit more exciting. I did make a new eyeshadow palette purchase. I picked up the Urban Decay Wild Greens palette because I don't have a ton of greens in my collection. And even though this one has not a ton of greens, I did like kind of the color scheme because it's a little bit different than like the minty colors that I did have. And I also really just liked the kind of neutral colors. So this is what it looks like if you are not familiar. Very pretty. I've played around with it a little bit, but I want to do a little bit more with it. So I am going to put this in my makeup basket for March just to kind of give me a little bit more time to play around with it and do different looks with it. Obviously, I will be focusing on my Eyeshadow Roulette shades, but I feel like I can combine some of them together, particularly with the shade Okay. You know, that can go over pretty much anything in this palette to make a nice look. So I am going to be adding this in. That's kind of just in addition to the Eyeshadow Roulette palettes. All right, next we'll talk about blush. I did pick up a new blush. This is the Ilia Multi-Stick Multi-Usage, whatever, stick. And it is in the shade At Last. It's like a lip color and a cheek color. I'm wearing it today. It is something that I would use for blush, not necessarily lips, particularly since I'm trying to still finish those lipsticks, lip shades in my project pan, but I do definitely want to play with this a little bit more this month. So I am going to put this into my makeup basket. I am almost finished with my project pan blush, y'all. Like, so close. I think it'll be done this month. So this one will be something else that I can add and play with. And then I'm going to pick out kind of more of a peachy shade. So let me show you my options. So in February, I was using the Papa Don't Peach blush, which looks like this. I like this one a lot. It's sparkly. So I'm kind of wanting maybe a less sparkly peach shade so that I can also play around with a highlighter. So I have a couple of options. First of all, I have this Benefit Blush Bar palette, and there are a couple of, well, there's one peach shade for sure, and then there's two kind of more, I guess, neutral shades. So anyway, if you're not familiar, this is what it looks like. This shade right here, which is California, would be the peachier shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch it and show you. But you can see it's just a nice peachy shade, which would work, you know, for what I'm thinking. It's right here. But I also have Gold Rush and Rockateur, which I really like. They are much more neutral shades though. So I'm gonna swatch those. So this one right here is Gold Rush. You can see it's much more kind of brownish toned, I guess. And then Rockateur is the one underneath. So those are all kind of peachy in my opinion. So those are three possibilities. And then I also have this little mini from Tarte. This is Quirky. It's also kind of more peachy toned. So I've got some options. That's really hard to see. There you go. I've got some options with the peach shades. California is really peachy, so I'm not thinking I'm going to do that one. But looking at the shade Juicy from the eyeshadow shade, I'm really thinking these like more neutral ones will be the best option. So I do think I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these two, or possibly both, from the Benefit palette. Probably Gold Rush will probably be the one that I will play with, but I'm going to go ahead and just put both of these in and kind of give that a whirl and see what I think. I like all of these blushes, but I do have that pink one obviously in my project pan, and this new Ilia one is also rather kind of pink shade, a pink shade. I'll show you. So it is right here. So as you can see, it's a little bit more pink toned than any of those other ones, but still really pretty. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll put Rockateur and Gold Rush from the Benefit Blush Bar palette in my makeup basket, along with the Ilia multi-use stick. And now let's talk about highlighters. So I was working with rather the Becca Rose Quartz highlighter, and I've had this one in pretty much all year so far. It's this pinky shade, but because I'm thinking of these shades right here, I don't think the pink will really work well with that. So instead I'm going to pick one of my more gold / champagne-y shades. So I do have two. I have the Essence Pure Nude highlighter in Be My Highlight, which is this one right here. And I also have the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. So obviously those are going to be the two that I'm picking from this month. I'm going to swatch them and kind of just see which one I like the best. Okay, so I did swatch them on my hand. This is very hard to show y'all, but here they are right here. Looking at these, obviously the Champagne Pop, which is this top one, is much more blinding, if you will, than the Pure Nude. It's like more natural, which tends to be how I personally prefer prefer my highlighters, but I do really like Champagne Pop, don't get me wrong. But I do think I'm going to go ahead and do the Essence one because I have not used this one in a while. I'm thinking about potentially putting this into my project pan at some point because I've had it a really long time and there's a lot of product in here. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe going with this one will give it a little bit of a head start for when I inevitably put it in my project pan. So I think we'll go ahead and go with the Essence one and we will save Champagne Pop for another time. Okay, going back to just some other general basics, ones that like aren't terribly interesting. I am still working on the Benefit roller liner. I do still have the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect waterproof mascara, and I'm also working now, well, I've started working on a new under eye setting powder. So this is the number 7 translucent perfect light pressed powder, and I do really like this one. This one was something that when I was Googling like best setting powders for like mature under eyes, which I just have some fine lines and things, this is one that came up. So I did go ahead and pick this one up, and so far I'm really enjoying this. So that is the other kind of staple, not so interesting products that I'm putting in this month's makeup basket. Okay, so that is that. That is my March makeup basket featuring my new Eyeshadow Roulette shades. Before I sign off, I do want to go ahead and include a couple of images of some of the looks that I put together, I guess, with last month's Eyeshadow Roulette shades. These are very neutral. These are like my everyday go-to looks. So in both of these pictures that I'm going to show you, I do have that shade from the e.l.f. Rose Water quad over it. It's like, it was just kind of like a nude shimmer. So that is over top of both of them. But yeah, here is look 1. And then here is look 2. So obviously nothing super fancy or special, very basic. But the shades from last month's Eyeshadow Roulette, really lended themselves to a lot of natural looks. So they were a lot easier to work with than the ones I'm going to be working on this month. So stay tuned to see what I can put together. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, everyone.